The center opened more than 50 years ago with a modest design, a plan for expansion, and perhaps divine intervention for how the design was created. Architect James Smith explains.
One day I got a phone call from Father Vessels, who was the retreat master at the time, and he said, you know, I know where I want to put the chapel. There were two large pine trees that were struck by lightning, and he said that's where the chapel needs to go. That's where it goes, and so that's where it is.
The chapel is embedded in the woods, with the pines themselves an inspiration for its design.
I wanted to really make the chapel a background to the grounds themselves here. So you're kind of thrusted out into the woods. It's God's woods. It's the beauty of the nature, and it changes moment to moment. The light filters through the pines. The pines and the wind will sway back and forth, and everything from the large glass wall to the mullions that support the glass actually form or reflect the trees in that you look out onto. And in fact, the whole chapel is sort of an abstraction of the cross. So you have the play of the horizontal plane that's thrusted out into the woods, and then you have the vertical mullions. The roof, the ceiling, which kind of hovers, attempts to be sort of a metaphor for the hand of God, the sort of sheltering hand hovering over the space. And my son called it's a form of suspended disbelief, because you're not sure what's supporting it. That was my son, the poet, but it's a wonderful description, and I've co-opted that. Again, natural materials.
The stone, the wood, the glass, the concrete used in its construction create a sense of balance.
It's a simple facility that reflects the simplicity of the grounds and of the existing facilities, which is Maria likes to say, enough, not too much. We don't want a place that's too extravagant that becomes a distraction, or that's so reduced that becomes a distraction. We want it to be a place that's open, and so that it's a place of silence that allows you to hear, as Maria said, hear your Creator, and be able to listen.
The unadorned back wall of the chapel intentionally forces people to look out toward the trees and into nature.
And I wanted to provide a way that a threshold or a block to the everyday. So when you come as you approach, you don't know really exactly what the space is like inside. But once you're in it, you're buffeted from the people arriving and approaching. And so it really, I hope it creates a sense of separation from day-to-day, separation even from the day-to-day activities of the retreat, such as the meals and what have you. So it's an attempt to create a more privacy and actually enhance the sense of silence and encourage the listening.
While the vertical and horizontal planes of the cross inspired the architect, a crucifix was not initially planned as a central design element in the chapel. But then came what architect James Smith calls a happy accident, one of many that blessed the design process, with the discovery of the work of artist Martin Dawe.
From where the chapel ended up being located, with the lightening of the trees, to how the stone and the colors, when we did the pattern, the colors were sort of unintended, but they had a richness, the browns and the grays, to coming across the right person to do the crucifix. And Martin was next door to the fabricator for the outdoor cross, which is made out of steel and welded, and was itself a major achievement just to get it up there and built. But Andrew Crawford designed that and built it, and he referenced Martin to us. And so Martin, who's a well-known sculptor in town, was able to do a one-of-a-kind corpus for us. And it was an interesting discussion about should he be alive? Should Jesus be alive? Should he be dead? Can he be both? How do you do that? Is it at that moment of surrender? And I think that's where Martin took that time, right at the moment when Jesus gives up the ghost, and there's almost a sense of release. There is some pain, and yet there's also a sense of joy and the sense of redemption that comes from suffering. And it's a very human figure. It almost focuses more on the humanity of Jesus rather than on his divinity. So it has the strong legs of a Nazarite who would, or a Nazarene that would have walked many miles. It's a strong figure, not an emaciated figure, and it's a wonderful addition to the chapel. What I love about it is that I was creating a window to the world, and the crucifix allows the window to be a looking glass as well. So it's a mirror that reflects back onto us, and so it adds that extra dimension to the space, which hadn't really occurred to me until I walked in and saw it in position. So it's delightful, and Martin himself is a sculptor, is just a delightful, humble, wonderful, and talented artist.
As a window to the world and a mirror into the soul, the process for expanding Ignatius House has been as integral to the center as the actual building and grounds. Ted Benning.
But what I found in going through the process was that the board and the building committee and the priests and the folks who were administrating Ignatius House it was very important to have a common vision. So we didn't move forward on anything until everybody agreed in complete unison that this is what we were going to do. And if there was a problem, we stopped until it was worked out. I think another thing that impressed me was that the funds to build these facilities were raised well in advance of the construction. And so the arrangements that were made to pay for the construction weren't done on a wing and prayer. They were done on a very reasoned, intelligent business basis. So it allowed everyone to have some flexibility to create a facility that met the vision of the board and met the vision of what folks wanted to do with the retreat facility.